Good way to start in a good, happy mood.
Be a hell of a name for the show if you think about it. Hi, Groz.
Hey, gas away. Hey, everyone. Thanks for joining us for our second edition of Take 5 on the gigantic, expanding Puck broadcast empire.
That's right. Pucksports.com and anywhere you get your podcasts, including places I've never even heard of. And we had great response last week, so thanks to everybody. We sure love doing this. I mean, I love spending a few minutes bullshitting with you, and I think you tolerate me. And I'm laughing as we started because I'm thinking of how far either one of us would have sailed that sand shot on what turned out to be hole 72 of 73 for Rory. He's got an incredible shot out of the sand that puts him, okay, you're going to win the Masters, and then he gacks the putt. Can you imagine those staring at that sand shot? It's funny how people just throw the phrase choke around. And people know better. You play golf. I mean, how hard was that sand shot he hits with all the pressure on him, and then he misses the putt? What a crazy sport.
I mean, it was an amazing day yesterday, the Masters. I mean, it was just an incredible performance by the guy. I mean, who has been choking. I hate to say it, but you can't say it. Since he won the three majors and has gone 11 years trying to win the fourth, the Masters, and hadn't won it, and hadn't won the other one along the way. And just, I mean, yesterday was I watched every minute of that golf tournament. I literally turned it on. I was interested in it at the beginning. I was interested in the story, about him, and watched every minute of it. And I thought it was one of the most riveting things I've ever seen. I thought it was one of the most heartbreaking things I've ever seen at some points. I thought it was just a terrible thing at some points. I thought it was the most unbelievable thing at some points. I think of Rory McIlroy, and I thought of the same thing you were talking about, choking, and he didn't get it at the end. That's what everyone would have said. But think about, you talk about coming back from that sand shot. How about coming back from that shot at 15?
Right.
Where you hit a shot that a 24 handicapper hits.
Yeah.
You chunk a chip.
Yeah.
I mean, you hit a shot that you can't hit. 30 feet to the right on a 50-yard shot. It's something that we've done.
Yeah, right, right.
And he double bogeys that, and he comes back from that. And you talked about, the shot at 18 does that, misses the putt there. I mean, it was excruciating. It was exhilarating. It was really, really, it helps that the Masters is such an event that we know of, I mean, they've just done such a great job of televising it over the years, and it's the same course every year. Everyone's familiar with it, even casual golf fans. It just was made for great theater yesterday, and so many things that in his performance were mind-blowing. But, I mean, I'll be honest with you, I really thought he was going to miss that last putt. I mean, here we go. Here's
on the playoff hole.
How about the playoff hole? So Justin goes first, the old veteran who's a teammate from the from the Ryder Cup, and he hits that incredible approach shot. Rory hits a better approach shot. Justin misses the putt, and I said, "Oh, well, there's his free pass to miss this putt and keep going."
Yeah, right.
And he didn't, and he made it, and he was emotional as he should have been. And Jim Nantz, although look, no one had to tell anyone to shut up in the broadcast booth.
Right.
Anyone who's done any broadcasting knew that. Hey, man, we don't need to say anything. Let's just watch this for a while, and it was really good stuff.
Yeah, Nance is a lot of things, but he's not clueless when it comes to that moment, and he knew. How about the golf gods doing what they do? Almost halfway through the final round, he's got a 3-stroke lead. You're thinking, maybe the golf gods are going to let him enjoy this today. Enjoy the back nine. Enjoy getting the monkey off your back. Have fun. Laugh with the patrons. Oh, no, that's not how the golf gods work. They're going to strangle you damn near to death. I thought his reaction after missing on the 72nd hole was good. He didn't look too distressed. I didn't think. I mean, who knows? I'm sure inside he was a ball of nerves. But I thought he looked like, all right, there's still more work to be done, and there was. What's incredible about it, Dave? It really shows you what a mental game this sport is. Because they play every week on an 18-hole course. They play 72 holes for a tournament. The distance is always within, 1,000 yards at the most. There's lakes, there's creek. The only thing different about the Masters or the U.S. Open is that it's the Masters or the U.S. Open. Because otherwise these guys are out there. Rory's won 43 tournaments in his life. And they weren't all, the Hamburger Classic. I mean, he's won some big tournaments. And he's an all-time money winner. He never has to worry about where the rent's coming from. And yet, and again, the phrase choke is so funny since we all know how hard a 4-foot putt is to hit anyway, and then hit it with any kind of pressure on you. But the fact that he was one of, three guys, Jack, Tiger, and Rory, had 4 majors under their belt before they turned 25. And everybody's like, oh, Rory's going to be, he's going to be something. Jack's like, he might win 20. And Rory, I like that he's addressed that. He's like, God, everybody believe it, and you can sometimes put pressure on you, obviously. It'll be interesting to see where he takes it from here. This was his 3rd win of the season. You know, what more could he do? He's still in the prime of his game. I think maybe right at the back end of it, but 35's not old in that sport.
I'll run something by you. I'll run a scenario by you. PGA Championship this year it's the next major. It's Quails Hollow. It's a course that he has dominated unlike any other course that he's played. I mean, I heard Puck talking about it a little bit with Jim Moore about 15, 20 minutes ago. That, he's got better 55 shots better than anyone else who's played there, in terms of his all-time scores in there. So he's going to a course he loves to play with the pressure off, like you said, having a good year already, 35 years old, so no injury stuff or anything like that going on. He'll be a favorite going in, and he's got a great shot at it. The U.S. Open is at Oakmont, which is a classic course. He'll certainly, have momentum, be a favorite there. And let's say he pulls that one off too. The British Open this year, guess where it is? You get one guess.
I don't know.
Northern Ireland. One guess to where Rory McIlroy's from. Northern Ireland.
That one
Well, how about that? How about if it's a long shot, of course, but he's struggling for 11 years to get to get all 4 majors in, and he wins the Grand Slam in 1 year.
Yeah, who knows? It's a crazy sport. And when he won yesterday, I always used to have fun with compare. I was the only NASCAR guy at KJR, and all the other guys are golf guys. And I used to say, the sports are pretty remarkably similar in a lot of ways. They're individual sports. You're measuring yourself, that kind of thing. Rory's win yesterday, and then the walk down that tunnel of people, and how long it took him to get through that walk because so many people wanted to. It reminded me of when Dale Earnhardt won the Daytona 500 finally, and there's the same thing. Dale Earnhardt had won everything you could win in the sport, but he couldn't win the Daytona 500. He finally wins it in '98, and it took him like 10 minutes to get to victory lane because every single team stopped him at their pit and wanted to shake his hand. They knew what he'd done for the sport. Even the ones who didn't like him, like, this guy has done so much for this sport. And that reminded me of that yesterday. Everybody seemed to be on board with this. It was, every one of us in this business, we've just all fallen guilty. We overhype everything. And every once in a while you get something that busts through that needed no hype and needed no dramatic music. It's just watching this unfold was incredible. And congratulations to the guy who seems like a pretty good dude. And again, he's got some time ahead of him. Maybe he'll get closer to some of those lofty predictions people had for him before his 11-year drought between majors.
Well, I tell you, when his daughter, his 3-year-old daughter, hit that putt in the 9-hole tournament, I don't know if you saw that. You probably did. I mean, you're not going to win it now? Right. Remember saying that when if ever the guys were telling you it's your time, it's now. And, he wins it. It was great. And in that spotlight with all that going on, I'm just amazed at, how often, Gas, you got to come back in golf from mistakes you make in that round.
Right.
You got to just shake it off. You got to shake off the bad stuff. And so many guys can't do it. And I think I texted you that he's the modern day Greg Norman, which is what he was looking at if he hadn't gotten that win, I think, and that's faint praise at this point because Greg Norman's remembered much more for what he didn't do than what he did do. And that's not going to be the case now with Rory McIlroy.
The whole narrative of that changes. You're right. I mean, I was looking up Greg Norman today, 2 U.S. Open wins, and I think 9 second-place finishes in the other 3 majors. 9.
I think it might have been 2 British Open wins, actually.
Was it 2? Yeah, 2 and 1. And 9 seconds. It's, again,
but
it's such
excruciating seconds.
Right, yeah. Well, like yesterday would have been.
Right, exactly. I mean, he had a 5-shot lead with 4 holes to go, or 7 holes to go, and it didn't happen, though. Congratulations to him. It was terrific. All right, let's turn closer to home, shall we?
Who's swinging their bats big time, Groz? Who's the offensive juggernaut that just cannot be denied? Well, not quite the M's, but
they're miraculous.
That's right.
They're miraculous.
Let me run these numbers by you, Groz. Right now, we're about 3 weeks in. The Mariners are 6th in the major leagues in home runs. 6th. Now they're 20th in RBIs, which should tell you, maybe a few less solo shots and a few more with guys on base.
Would be nice.
They're 5th place in walks overall, and they're 2nd in steals. There wasn't a moment last year where you could have said that about them, where they'd be in good shape in 3 categories. It's you and I, we've done this now for 3 years, and we've upped the ante by putting it on pucksports.com. But we laugh at how we sit here every Monday and we're like, well, the M's lost 4 out of 5 last week. They're done. And then you wait a week and they win 5 out of 6 against, AL West competition. What do you think about where they're at right now?
It's button up for the long haul. I mean, it's they are where they are. I like what they showed obviously during the week. I mean, you're playing division opponents. Sweeping Texas is fantastic, and beating Jacob McGraw and doing all that. It was a great week. Before that was terrible. I mean, you still have got issues going forward. I mean, you still have lost your leadoff hitter. It's going to be a factor long term. You have to figure that out. But I'm a little worried about pitching staff. I think everyone is. Miller says it's not a bad sore arm, but man, is there ever a good sore arm, Gas? Right. Or a good story with something like that? My arm is sore, but it's not too bad. So, I mean, I'm a little worried about that. I'm a little worried. I saw Matt Brash pitched in Tacoma last night, so that's a big guy coming back into their bullpen, and Munoz has been spectacular so far. So they've got that part of what they got to do to win going for them. But, it's they've been on this kind of, you talk about it, week on, week off. Unless I see that change, I'm going to reserve judgment on getting too excited or getting too down. Because, I mean, right now they're playing like a 500 team plays. We'll see if they're better than that or not.
And you could argue that if they can stay at 500 for a while, because the one thing, and maybe this will be proven wrong, what I'm about to say here, the one thing everybody would have thought was they're not going to be able to withstand a lot of injuries. And they've had a lot of injuries in the early going.
Yeah.
They've had problems. And Willie is down there pushing buttons and changing lineups and doing the right thing. It's hard to keep doing that when you don't have the horses you were planning on. But if they can tread water for a little while till they get some guys back, it'll make for an interesting summer at least.
Well, it's funny because it's the 30-year anniversary of the 95 season, of course, and Willie remembers that very well, obviously, and so does Edgar, and so does Jay Buhner, who's back in town doing the broadcast. And, they had to overcome an injury or two during that run, if I recall correctly, Gas. We were both here.
Yeah.
A kid named Griffey, who was a fairly good player, got hurt, and they had to patch thing together for a couple of months. So, I mean, these, again, are guys with experience with that. And, we'll see. We'll see what they can do. If DePoto can get him something, just some speed in the leadoff position. I think that's all we're talking about, just a way of changing the game up a little bit. It'll be nice to see. But, there's going to be a lot of reminders of that during the year, and as well there should be, because, it was a great time, and this is the team that's been to the playoffs. The core of this team has been to the playoffs. So take another step this year, you guys.
Do you think they'll spend any money? Do you think they'll go get anybody?
Yes, I think they would. But, I mean, I do think it will have to be obvious.
Yeah.
We're playing really well, but we just need this piece. But, why not? If they're playing well, I would hope that they would. But, I understand the question.
Right.
I definitely understand the question. Yeah, because you haven't seen enough of it.
And that's the one thing when you win 5 out of 6, and I can see the owners go, well, we don't need to add anything. You're doing great. Everything's fine. And you've got to have more of a long-term look for that.
Who knows how long Robles is going to be gone? So, we're not sure about that yet. It's still April, but it was a good week, and it was a needed week because, we've talked about people are ready to pile on because of how things have gone recently. So it was nice to get everyone off your back for a while.
One thing that's happened that's kind of interesting is more and more, every passing game, not just this year, but even going back for a couple of years, I appreciate Dylan Moore and what he brings to this team. Just such a great glove. Won the Gold Glove as a utility player, first time I think they'd ever given that. And they've had one little interesting stroke here, and with Polanco hitting the ball so well, but frankly looking like he's overmatched a little bit at third base. And now with Bliss out, and suddenly maybe you've got more of a hold set. Maybe Polanco goes back to second eventually as he gets to 100%, and Moore can play third base. Their defense is going to be, it's like any team, it's going to be very important for them, and maybe that's something they can look at doing. I think Wilson's got, the big problem right now is they need more power out of the combination of first base designated hitter, right field. My boy Rowdy, who I love. I don't know how you don't love Rowdy. He's built like a sports talk show host. He's a funny guy. He's a fun guy. He's a good guy from all indications. But he's got to do something. I mean, they can't just they can't keep him around just because his name's Rowdy, Groz, can they?
Doesn't work. It's worked for 2 weeks, but it doesn't work for the long haul.
That's not how it works.
30 years since '95. I was dismayed to realize it was 20 years since we had a playoff basketball team in this town.
Jeez.
It's been 20 years since there was NBA playoffs in Seattle, Gas. 20 years. How the hell can that be?
I'm looking somewhere.
How the hell can that be?
Somewhere in my desk drawer, I've got my ticket from the Dallas Sonics game, the last Sonics game ever played, which was, 17 years ago yesterday, I think.
Yeah.
Or
Kevin Durant had the great game, and they won.
Yeah, they won by 4, and it's the same old thing. I mean, I'll say this: for as much as I've been down on the NBA jerking us around, and I'm kind of halfway on how the game is played now. I think there's way too much outside shooting, but there's nights where you stumble into something exciting. I saw a Minnesota-Denver game about 10 days ago, overtime, final like 139-138. I'm lying if I didn't say I wasn't entertained. I mean, it was a fun game to watch, and the playoffs start, and I think the big concern if you're a Seattle fan is Oklahoma City looks like they might just be good enough to run the table here, and I don't know who's going to stop them in the West or overall, but they're a good 68 win team.
Well,
they're good.
I'll tell you who's going to beat them in the West. You just saw them play Denver. Denver did a bizarre thing, as you know, a week ago. Mm-hmm. 3 days left in the season. They fired their head coach who won a championship with him, Malone, and just for a good measure, they fired the general manager who wanted to fire Malone too.
Yeah.
And reading about it, this has been bitching had been going on in the front office, and it was bothering people. Djokovic in particular, who talked about it. Denver won 3 straight, to end the season, so they quietly did that. Djokovic, man, averaged a triple-double this year. He's the third player to do it. Just a quick aside on that. It's Djokovic and it's Russell Westbrook who did it 3 times, and I think it's LeBron James who've done it. How did Russell Westbrook do it 3 times, 3 years in a row?
Average, and didn't Oscar do it way back in the day?
Excuse me, Oscar. I forgot about LeBron. LeBron is out. Oscar Robertson did it in the 60s.
Yeah.
But anyway, I mean, Westbrook, who's still playing, was able to do that. And I think Denver can give Oklahoma City, to answer your question, a great matchup. I think they're a really good team, and we'll see. But, I mean, it may be sad to think it's 20 years. And I'm with you. I mean, occasionally, I'm more against the NBA than anyone else. They definitely can get good games going. And when they do, it's very entertaining to watch. And they're long play. I don't even understand how the playoffs work anymore because it seems like you got 10 teams in. You got playoff playing here, playoff there, home court. It's confusing to me. But, good basketball is what it is. It's good basketball, and hopefully we'll see some.
I think the Lakers might be able to give Oklahoma City some run, too. I mean, the Lakers, that's a lot of talent they've got on that team. And if they can, it's funny, Luka and LeBron have played 21 games together. So maybe it's asking too much. Or maybe not. That's two guys who could carry a team on their own shoulders. And now they're together. You've got Austin Reeves. Well, I like J.J. Redick's advisor, that guy Nate McMillan. I think he knows what he's doing. Yeah. And having Nate on the bench should be helpful this time of year. It'll be interesting because I think that's where a lot of Seattle fans are going to be tuning in, is to see if anybody can stop this OKC juggernaut. Because if we're being honest, it won't be nearly as painful if OKC wins it now as it would have been, say,
too long.
12 years ago. If they'd won it with Durant, if they'd won it with guys we'd seen play. I'm not saying it won't be painful, and I'm not saying there won't be people going, that should be us. But it won't be as bad as it might have been.
Don't count out the Warriors either. They added Jimmy Butler, who carried 2 teams to the finals himself. And Curry is healthy, so, I mean, the Golden State's in there as well. So we'll see.
Agree.
What else you got for us?
I got a couple of things. How much did you pay attention to and I got to look at my pronunciation guide here, Nico Iamaleava, who's a quarterback for Tennessee, who decided to hold out for a better NIL deal, hold out from spring football. And
wow.
Tennessee said, "We'll see you later. We cannot do this with you." He wanted to go from $2 million to $4 million. And people they're villainizing the kid and saying whatever, he wanted more money. The analysis is he really timed this poorly because most teams with the kind of money to spend like that have settled on who their quarterback's going to be for next year. Now there is one intriguing landing spot, and it would be out this way. UCLA is being mentioned as a possibility. This guy was the Tennessee quarterback, and he's good. His numbers are good, But you just wonder, is this the tip of the iceberg as we continue to see college sports evolve in weird and strange ways? A guy saying on a Friday, I'm not coming to practice. I asked you to renegotiate my deal and you wouldn't do it. I'm not coming to practice. And college saying, well, we're the NFL to a certain extent, but we're not the NFL to this extent, and you're gone. We're going to move on without you.
Yeah. What about my education? What the fuck are you talking about education? What's that got to do with college?
Right.
It's got nothing to do with college, kid.
All right.
What's the matter with you?
All right.
I mean, when you first said that, I'm thinking like, what the hell is he talking about? What is going on these days?
Yeah.
That's my initial reaction to it. And then the secondary is, well, this will just be part of the noise around it that makes it more popular, probably.
Two other quick notes. Congratulations to your favorite hockey team, the Western Michigan Broncos, who won their first NCAA hockey tournament ever.
They won the Frozen Four?
They won the Frozen Four. Well, I don't know how long they've been playing hockey at Western Michigan, but they'd never been to the Frozen Four and never won it, and now they have.
Wow.
Are you aware, Groz, that there's a pitcher in the Oakland A's, or the Sacramento A's, whatever the hell the A's are, there's a pitcher in the A's system named Jason Alexander. Did you know that?
The name of George Costanza?
Yeah, and
no, I did not know that.
Jason Alexander played his first game in New York City yesterday, and the helpful Mets fans serenaded him with shouts of Serenity Now! Serenity Now! As he's out there trying to pitch, they're yelling Serenity Now at him.
You knew anything about it?
He has to. With a name like Jason Alexander, I mean, maybe. He's a younger guy, so maybe he'd be like, I never saw that show. My parents watched that show. But yeah, it's on syndication. He's got to know that.
That is hilarious, man.
They refer to him on the Mets broadcast as George Costanza, so he's got his work cut out for him out running that shadow. Would you like an animal in the... I'm going to try and make these animal in the news stories because I think you and I relate to animals well. I'm not sure why, but I think we do.
Because we're social misfits, man. We relate better to people that can't respond to us.
And I think we both also realize how close animals are to humans. And this is another story that'll make you realize that. We're going to Green Bay, Wisconsin, Groz, courtesy of the Associated Press.
Bay.
Ophelia, the escaped zoo otter, is back home, but Louis remains elusive. Now, the two North American river otters escaped 2 weeks ago from the new zoo and adventure park in Green Bay, Wisconsin. Ophelia was captured Friday night, the zoo said. But in the same Facebook post, they said Louis remains on the lam. This is otter breeding season, Groz, and they're saying they expect it as a male otter. Louis is ranging a bit further from home than Ophelia did. They're maybe
experimenting. Maybe experimenting.
Yeah.
Hey, let's try a different breed. What are you? A cat? Come on over here.
Yeah. What are you? I'm a horny river otter. Thanks very much.
Sounds good. Come on by.
Come on by. All right, brother. See ya.
Great show, Bal. See you next week, everyone.